Hi everyone, this is Enoch here. Today I'm going to talk about different types of chemical bonds, and I'm only going to go over some common bonds that you're going to come across when studying biology. There are other types of bonds such as the hydrophobic interactions or van der Waals force. Those you might come across when you're studying higher level biochemistry or in other classes. I'm just going to talk about the three main types of bonds, and the first one is covalent, the second one is ionic, and the third one is hydrogen. And when you think about bonds, you want to remember the keywords. For covalent bond, the keyword would be sharing. For ionic bond, the keyword would be charge. And for hydrogen bond, the keyword would be polar. And let's first talk about covalent bonds. A covalent bond is pretty much a chemical bond that involves the sharing of electron pairs between atoms. So here you can see that there are two hydrogen atoms, and each atom has one lone electron, and you cannot form a bond with just one electron, and therefore these two atoms, they share the electrons to form a bond, and that's how you get a hydrogen molecule, which is H2. And this happens in not only hydrogen but also in other molecules such as an oxygen molecule. You can see that two oxygen atoms are sharing their lone electrons, and this is a double covalent bond, which means that there are more than two electrons being shared. And here you can see that there are four electrons being shared. This is because it still has to fulfill the octet rule, and if not, if you're just sharing two electrons only, then it does not fulfill the octet rule, and that you're probably going to come across in chemistry. I'm not going to talk too much about it. And yeah, so basically covalent bond is the sharing of electrons, and you can see that in a lot of different molecules, but most commonly it can be seen in the carbon um, atom, and you're probably going to learn more about carbon later in biochemistry. And so for ionic bonds is basically two oppositely charged atoms being attracted to each other. Here you can see that sodium has a positive charge and chloride has a negative charge. And for positive charged ions, we call them a cation. And for negatively charged ions, we call them anions. And basically a cation is attracted to an anion, and then they form this ionic bond, which is fairly strong. And yeah, so for ionic bonding, just remember it's oppositely charged atoms being attracted to each other. And you might ask, like, why does carbon not form ionic bonds with other molecules? That's because carbon um, is not charged, and is not well, it can be charged, it can form ions, but normally it does not have a charge, and it has like four electrons, so it just shares it with other atoms such as hydrogen. And yeah, and for water, uh, you might remember from the lecture that water is a very polar molecule, and here you can see that one oxygen atom is being bonded to two hydrogen atoms, and hydrogen atoms are actually positively charged, and the oxygen atom is really negative, or electronegative. Its electronegativity is very high, so it basically pulls the, like, makes the entire molecule like very polar. And basically what polar molecules are is that they're being attracted to other polar molecules. So that's why that makes water such an important and special uh, thing, because water, like the different properties of water can be attributed to its polarity. And um, yeah, so let's see. So basically here you have a water molecule being attracted to an ammonium or ammonia molecule, and you can see that hydrogen bond is positively charged, and the nitrogen atom is negatively charged. So that's why the hydrogen atom forms a hydrogen bond with the nitrogen atom, because they have opposite charges. And what is the difference between ionic bonds um, like the hydrogen bonds? As you can tell, hydrogen bonds mainly involves hydrogen, and also some really electronegative atoms such as oxygen, nitrogen, and fluorine. And so whenever you think about hydrogen bond, you think about hydrogen and NOF. That's how I remember. Nitrogen, oxygen, and fluorine. Those are major molecules involved in hydrogen bonding. And ionic bonding is just anything else that's oppositely charged, being attracted to each other. Like sodium and chlorine, you get sodium chloride. And yeah, so that's how I remember these bonds. I believe that's the end of my presentation. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to send me emails. Um, I'm willing to answer your question, and I'll be available anytime. Thank you very much, and have a good one.